This conference will now be recorded.
Good evening and welcome to the City of Warrenville Public Works and Infrastructure Committee of the Whole regular meeting. It is Monday, June 12th. This Committee of the Whole meeting will be conducted in the traditional in-person format at the City Hall location. The public will only be available in person during the meeting if you would like to make a comment. The remote meeting access is for viewing purposes only. So if you would like to view, that's fine, but if you would like to make a comment, you would have to come to City Hall to be able to do that. Can I have a roll call, please?
Mayor Brummel,
Here.
Alderman Ashour,
Here.
Alderman Augustinovich,
Here.
Alderman Berry,
Here?
Alderman Davalos,
Here.
Alderman Kruckenberg,
Here.
Alderman Lockett,
Here.
Alderman Widener,
Here.
Alderman Wilkie.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Thank you. If you would please stand, if you are able, for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, now is our time for citizens' comments. I have, no one has signed up for any comments, but if you would like to make a comment during the item that we are speaking about during the business of the meeting, you are more than welcome to do so. Official and staff comments. Mayor?
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Just one comment about the multicultural event we had this weekend. It was a huge success, as it was last year. I wanted to thank the Park District and our IDEC Commission for putting that together. It was a beautiful crowd. It was so fun to watch everybody on the dancing out there, and then pretty soon there was a circle and the kids would come in and go out. It was very, very well attended, and people had a lot of fun. And of course, learning about other cultures is part of maturing and growing up, and so we're glad that we can provide that opportunity for our citizens. So keep that in mind. We'll do it again next year, and it'll be even better. So thanks to everybody who made that happen.
Thank you. Alderman, any comments? Okay, seeing no comments. Staff, anyone comments? Clerk? Okay. Okay, on we will go then to the business of the meeting. Number one, this is the ISA WWA presentation of an award. And the ISA WWA is the Illinois Section American Water Works Association. And management analyst Kristen Youngmeyer will do the presenting.
Good evening. So in February of 2023, this year, the Illinois section of the American Water Works Association confirmed that Warrenville had achieved gold level status as a water ambassador for the state. The Water Ambassador Program is an initiative that is created to elevate public perception, knowledge, and consumer education of the water industry. The program aims to accomplish these goals through presenting educational content in a manner that is relevant, engaging, and consistent among participants. The ISAWWA annual awards and program certification are determined by the frequency and method of communications. Tonight we have the marketing coordinator from ISAWWA, Tracy Leach, with us, as well as the District 2B trustee, Michelle Piotrowski. Did I get your name right? Okay. They're here to present Warrenville with the Water Ambassador Certificate and Street Sign to recognize Warrenville's achievement. I'll also ask Joe McFadden to come up. He's our utility crew leader, and I'll let you guys take it away.
Thank you very much. Super excited to be here. Very happy and glad to present this award to the city. But just a little a little bit about us. We are, as we've said, the Illinois section of American Water Works Association. And what we do is we provide, our whole goal is to provide resources for education of safe and sustainable water. In the state of Illinois, there's about 2,400 members. Globally, we have over 50,000. So we're a decent-sized organization, great place for the operators, everybody else to get some of their education units they need. The Water Ambassador Program, as stated previously, was created to elevate that public perception, knowledge, and consumer education of the water industry. The award basically comes in 3 levels. There's bronze, silver, or gold, and the frequency and the method determines which one you achieve. This year, we had 12 gold members, and we're very excited that Warrenville is one of them. And want to congratulate Joe McFadden, John Satter, who's not here, Phil Kukler, the rest of them. Super, super excited, and just want to say thank you. And thank you, and thanks to the community for their efforts in educating the public about our water systems and for the work that you do to maintain the water system. Thank you.
Hold on. Let's get this out of the way. No, I'm still in the picture. Well, you're on the camera. There, you're not, hopefully not. Oh, good. Hopefully we scoot it over far. Yeah. You got it? Okay. That's great. Congratulations to us and the Public Works for the great job that we now have are as gold ambassadors. So thank you very much. Mhm. Okay, on to number 2, consideration of continuing the 18-month temporary suspension of the electrical aggregation program. Assistant City Administrator Alma Morgan.
Thank you. So included with your agenda backup material is a memo that outlines the background information on the city's electrical aggregation program. It starts with the beginning of the program adoption in 2012. It provides you a little bit of information about the program suspension that the amended plan of operation and governance that the council adopted in May of 2021, and then most recently, the temporary 18-month suspension that council adopted in August of 2022. In May of this year, city staff met with Adam Hoover, from NIMEC, our electrical aggregation consultant, where he informed us that they were not able to find a fixed rate program that would guarantee the city's residents and small businesses a savings from the newly released ComEd rate. However, they did have one supplier, MC Squared, that provided a few options for the city to consider, and those are outlined in options 2 and 3 in your memo. This evening, city staff is recommending option 1, which is to take no action and to continue the 18-month temporary suspension of the program. The reason for this is we don't feel that the options that were presented meet the tenets of the original program, which is 1, to provide an electrical supply rate that is less than ComEd or at least even, so that it is cost neutral, and in addition to that, 100% renewable energy credits through the purchase of RECs. So at this time, I am happy to answer any questions, and Adam Hoover is also here from NIMEC to answer any council questions.
Thank you. Do you have any comments that you would like to?
No, almost over it,
Okay.
yeah, so you got it.
Okay. Alderman, any comments, questions? Mayor? Alderman Davalos?
Thank you, Chairman. Can you go over, Alma, On the, on option 2, that last paragraph about customers going on and off the chosen supplier, which has happened to me. It's kind of confusing, and I'm imagining it generates phone calls and generates questions. So since it's happened before, I'm just thinking about how we decide these things, and one thing is always staff time. Can you just share a little bit about what maybe in the past when that began happening with our last provider? Did you guys receive a lot of phone calls or have a lot of issues you needed questions to answer?
So I will actually let Adam handle that question in part, and just to preface it by saying that initial phone calls that do come to the city come directly through our finance department. Our staff answered just preliminary questions and then refer those callers directly to NIMEC to handle additional questions.
Okay.
So I don't have the stats on how many calls we received, but perhaps Adam can assist.
I'll traditionally say it's the first week of the program. Well, I shouldn't say the first week, but probably a month or two before the program starts, those first initial wave of letters. That we believe that is the only downside of the program, is because it is slightly confusing and those letters do go out. That's where the majority of them happen. If a situation happens where the supplier would like to add or remove residents to the ComEd rate match program, which guarantees residents are paying the ComEd rate, we do see a little bit of calls on that. You know, I'd like Alma said, I don't have exact numbers of the last time, but they're smaller than the initial beginning of the program, because people at least have already gotten a letter and are usually a little bit more aware. I will say most of the phone calls are saying, is this a scam? You know, and which is a fair question. Once staff says no, then that's kind of addressed. And then is my rate changing? And once you find out your rate isn't changing, many residents aren't too confused from there. And then those that have other opinions or stuff, those are ones that I'll gladly take.
Okay, thanks. I had one other question. If you sort of eliminate 3 because of the cost, I know we're not receiving our 100% renewable anywhere, so we sort of have to give that up. And one of these options, 2A, did have a 5%. And Alma, when I talked to you this afternoon, you said that everybody gets 17% automatically. Comment, is that how you would best explain that?
Yeah, so we are all taxed, or however, but Illinois and ComEd currently is purchasing 17% green energy. So that is happening in every single home, no matter if you run this program or not. So
Okay.
option 2A provides the option. I hate saying 22% green energy because then when you were doing 100% energy, you technically were purchasing 117% green energy. Feels a little salesy to say that. I don't feel like it's as trustworthy. So option 2A is saying MC Squared would provide 5% renewable energy credits, so RECs, at no cost to the resident, in addition to what ComEd's doing, because there's no way to change what ComEd's doing. That's mandated by law. So option 2A is an option to have 5% additional green energy.
Okay, so in option 1 and option 2, everybody will get the 7%.
That's not changing no matter what we do in this meeting. No matter what
Okay.
happens, that is by ComEd, and that has nothing that I can control or anything the city has power to control. That's all. That 17% number is the one that you're talking about.
Okay, so my last question is, again, so let's say the 5%, I guess I'm just continuing to dig down into why option 1 is better than even getting the 10,000 in B. We get a little more renewable in A. But it seems there must be a complication in there that just is going to be more work or confusion than just hanging out with ComEd at the same 7%, right? I mean,
I don't think there's more confusion. It's a little bit more staff work if one of those options are selected. Again, the reason staff recommended to suspend the program is because historically, since the inception of the program, council has selected 100% renewable energy credits, which was the intent of the program, along with a cost savings or at least cost neutrality. So Ultimately, it's up to the city council. If they would like to choose a different option, we will certainly move forward with any choice you make. But the reason we made the recommendation as is based on the original intent of the program and what council wanted.
Okay, and then we take another look at it next spring.
Absolutely.
Got it. Okay, thanks.
Alderman Lockett?
Since we're suspended now for this 18 months, our 18 months is going to end, though, next spring in April. So that'll be, we got to make a decision. We can't continue to suspend, correct?
You don't, go ahead.
You can,
I'll just say that I think was more of a board recommendation to kind of give a number there. That's not binding. And if you don't continue the suspension from January, because we'll probably reach out once the ComEd rate, that's kind of the magic. If we can find savings, by the way, we were really close. We were really hopeful we could find savings, and that's why we were a little more excited with Alma and Christina than normal. But we always lined it up with that. But you won't need to do anything from January to get to that May ComEd release. So I think that's more, and I don't want to speak for Alma here, but I think that's more of a suggestion and just a time period. But there's no board memos or there's nothing that needs to be done to get us to the next one. So I think it's more of just a suggestion.
Okay. And how frequently are they changing the rates? I mean,
That's a great question. So they're doing it a little bit differently, and I don't need to dive into it, but they're changing a little bit more than they normally are. So we're still learning about that. We still, in my personal opinion, I think you guys got offered a rate of 7.5 cents, and the ComEd rate annualized is about 7 cents. I actually think that would save money, but I do not want to come up here and guarantee that, because the worst way to do a program is to your residents are paying more. Right. In my personal opinion, they're changing it so much, and I always have an eye that they're going to change it to raise it a little bit more. So we want to come somewhere where we can guarantee and say, hey, we can beat the ComEd rate and we can guarantee it and we can guarantee savings. We can't do that yet. And so we're hopeful we can do it next year.
okay, or sooner.
Or because then we won't know, like, let's say the private supply market drops drastically in December. Well, that'll still make us guessing about what we think ComEd will do in May.
Okay.
So we did see this huge drop in probably January of this year, but that left us guessing what is ComEd going to do in May. So Alma and Christina will probably hear from us again in April or May, and we'll tell them the update then.
Okay.
If
Thank
nothing happens
you.
here.
Nothing crazy. Thank you.
Any other comments or questions? Okay, seeing none, I would need a motion. Alderman Lockett?
I'd like to make a motion that to recommend the city council continue the 18-month temporary suspension of the electrical aggregation program and direct staff to revisit program rates again in spring of 2024.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Lockett and a second by Alderman Davalos. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion passes. Thank you. Number 3, consideration of a resolution approving an agreement with Ultra Strobe Communications Incorporated for $40,320.88 to outfit 4 Dodge Durango Police Pursuit vehicles. This would be presented by Chief Sam Bonilla.
Thank you. This evening, we are requesting a city council approval for the expenditure of $40,320.88 to outfit 4 Dodge Durango police vehicles that we are soon to receive. We are a little bit over that amount as we initially thought that there was an increase in price from UltraStrobe. However, upon further investigation and looking into the matter, it turns out that what happened was we'd made an estimate based on 4 vehicles at $30,000 from the previous year. So we carried over that amount, we believe. The problem was that we actually paid the 4th vehicle from last year out of our seized assets fund. So we had anticipated that it was going to be less than what it was. Breaking that down, we're only paying for 3 vehicles at approximately $10,000 per vehicle last year. Being that's close to a similar amount, actually it's cheaper per vehicle for us this year. we have an extra vehicle that was unaccounted for last year because that was paid out of a different fund. So we are slightly short, approximately $10,022.88 to cover those costs for the fourth vehicle. Again, this is slightly cheaper per vehicle because we're able to transfer over some of the equipment inside there from the Fords to the new Dodge Durangos, but not all of them. We're looking at approximately $61.08 for one vehicle, $11,381.16 for a second vehicle, $11,450.46 for a third vehicle, and $11,381.19 for the fourth vehicle. Again, per vehicle, that's actually slightly cheaper than last year, when we had on an average of $13,000 per vehicle.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any comments, questions? Alderman Davalos?
So do we have any vehicles that have arrived? I mean, have we gotten any of these Dodge vehicles? It sounds like we're not going to get the Fords.
We may. I could defer to Jamie Clark. He might have some information as to when we're supposed to get them. I can make the assumption of when we're going to get them based on what I've heard, but he'd probably have more.
So we're voting on this just to be ready for whenever we get them.
Well, we want to make sure that we purchase the equipment and lock in the price as it is right
Okay.
now before any increased costs hit us, which is the same thing that we did for budget year 2022, 2023. On the Fords that we have not received yet, was we already purchased the equipment, which includes install. So that way we lock in the price, we already have the equipment. We want to do the same thing with our Dodges before there's any price increase in that.
And if by any chance those Ford Explorers come, we're ready for that also, right? 'Cause
Absolutely.
Okay, that's what I
Yes.
thanks.
Okay.
Alderman Lockett?
On these four quotes represent each individual vehicle, right?
Yes, sir.
Because for the one that's the 6100, is that like, I don't want to say, unmarked?
It is,
or-
yes.
It is.
That's exactly what, it's a lesser equipped vehicle because it is unmarked that doesn't have a cage in it. So basically, it's just outfitting it with lights and that's it.
Okay. And we couldn't do that to another vehicle, right? And then we'd
No.
have two and two, and then we'd save the money, the 5,000?
The only reason is because we have a certain schedule of cars that are being replaced. So one vehicle is being replaced that only has lights in it. The other ones have full equipment that we have to replace.
I got you. You're going to keep everything the same rather than delete
Exactly.
something that you might need later?
Yes, sir.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Any other comments or questions? Alderman Widener?
Yes. I'd like to make a motion to recommend the city council pass a resolution approving the agreement with Ultra Strobe Communications for $40,320.88 to outfit 4 Dodge Durango police pursuit vehicles.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Widener and a second by Alderman Ashour. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Number 4, presentation on community survey results. This will be presented by Paula Kraft, our communications coordinator.
Yes, and as you may recall, we conducted a city survey in March and April of this year to get a sense of how the community felt about a number of issues ranging from quality of life and housing to traffic and crime, economic development, the environment, and much more. And those results are going to guide us in a lot of future decisions. It will help us with budgeting. It will help us as we start up a strategic planning process. And it also alerts us to issues that residents care about or are concerned about so that we can do a better job of educating them. So at this point, I'm going to turn it over to POCO Survey Research Associate Kim Daney, and she will present you with an overview of the results.
Thank you, Paula. Good evening, Mayor and Alderman. My name is Kim Daney, and I am a Survey Research Associate at POLCO. I'm happy to be here to present a summary of the findings from the Warrenville National Community Survey, or NCS. Before I begin, on behalf of myself and Polco NRC, I'd like to thank Christina White and Paula Kraft, our primary contacts throughout the survey development and implementation process. They provided thoughtful feedback and detailed help for us throughout the survey project. I would also like to acknowledge my colleague Logan Kirk, who was Warrenville's NCS project manager and did the bulk of the work to assist you in completing your survey this year. First, here's just a little bit about who we are at Polco. Polco is an online community engagement polling platform. It provides the information tools that local governments need to hear from residents and use for planning, budgeting, and making decisions. Now, hundreds of organizations nationwide use Polco for conducting surveys, polls, and engaging with residents. Polco merged with the National Research Center in 2019 to effectively serve local governments and help residents give a voice in their communities. NRC, or National Research Center, is the proprietary in-house data laboratory of Polco. Since 1994, we've worked with hundreds of jurisdictions nationwide. We're best known for the National Community Survey, the NCS, and our custom survey research projects, and also our benchmark database that I'll get to in just a second. We also have many partners, including the International City County Managers Association, ICMA, and the National League of Cities. Before we dive into the results, I just want to emphasize that there are a variety of ways that these results can be used. Most commonly, the jurisdictions we work with use their survey data to monitor trends, to measure government performance and ratings of public trust, and to inform budgeting processes and strategic plans. Our results also allow you to benchmark your community's specific characteristics and services against those same characteristics within other communities in our benchmark database. Our hope is that when these findings are presented, it will spur ideas for you in what could be done with these results or where you might want to dig deeper. The National Community Survey, or NCS, is the standardized 5-page comprehensive survey that allows municipalities to assess resident opinion about their community and local government. The NCS focuses on livability, and we're dividing those questions into 10 main facets of livability. These facets have been identified through extensive survey research as those that are most impactful to residents' quality of life. The NCS includes items within each of these 10 facets to provide a full picture of how residents feel about their community. Finally, these facets tend to align with municipal departments, making it easy for city staff to quickly find the information that is most important to them in the final report of results. This was the first time that Warrenville conducted the NCS, and data collection was open from March 2nd to April 13th of this year. All households within Warrenville were eligible to participate in the survey. A list of all households within the zip codes of Warrenville was purchased, and we randomly selected 2,800 households to receive the survey. So all of those 2,800 households received 2 mailings. The first was a postcard mailed out on March 2nd, inviting the household to participate. That postcard contained an online link to the survey. And a week later, the next mailing was a cover letter with instructions and a paper version of the survey, allowing those who wish to take the survey on paper and mail it back with the included postage paid envelope. They could take it that way as well. The follow-up mailing also said those who had completed the survey to not take it again, so we didn't have any repeat respondents. We also had the survey available online in Spanish, and we received a total of 448 completed surveys, providing a response rate of 16%, which gave us a margin of error of plus or minus 5%. We also looked at the demographic profile of the survey respondents and the results were weighted to match the Census and American Community Survey demographic profile of Warrenville. This weighting process is a best practice, and it helps us to improve the representativeness of the survey results. In addition to that mailed survey effort, there was also an open participation component. That was the same survey as the paper and online address-based version, but this was open to all residents, and they could take that for the last 2 weeks of data collection. And we received 151 responses to that effort, which those results are available separately. The results I will be talking about tonight are just those 448 randomly selected households. One quick note on our benchmarking database that I'll be referring to throughout this presentation. We have a benchmark database that is comprised of over 500 communities across the nation. National Research Center was the first organization to create this idea of benchmarks of public opinion. So we're able to show you resident voices across the nation, and we'll look at how Warrenville compares against the national database. Now onto an overview of the survey results. The first way we look at results is regarding those 10 facets that I mentioned earlier. So we look at those 10 facets first in terms of quality. So we ask residents on a scale of excellent, good, fair, poor, how would you rate each of these topics? So overall economic health, overall safety, health and wellness, etc. And for Warrenville, you can see here, all of these were rated as excellent or good quality by more than 6 in 10 residents. And all were similar to the national benchmarks, with one being higher. The overall quality of natural environment was rated higher than the national average. We also take a look at these facets in terms of importance. So residents were asked, how important are each of these items to you? So these are the percent essential or very important, the percentage of respondents who rated it as that. So here we can see overall economic health, for example, 90% of residents rated that as being essential or very important. And each of these was similar to the national benchmark. So to help us make a little bit more sense of this data, we can look at both quality and importance at the same time. So each of those data points are plotted on this chart here. So we look at quality on the vertical axis at the same time as importance on the horizontal axis. And this helps us to determine maybe what areas were thought to be very important to residents, but maybe those same items were also rated to be lower in quality. And those would be kind of our focus areas that we would want to concentrate on. And Warrenville, in that lower right-hand quadrant there with the star, those would be the focus areas. And utilities was the one item that was determined to be highly important, but maybe a little bit lower on quality. Another overview here, this in terms of the comparisons to the national benchmarks. So of the 123 items that were available for comparisons, we had 30 items that were more positive or higher than the national average, 85 that were similar, and 8 items that were lower or more negative ratings than the national benchmarks. And so in terms of more positive or higher, those were 10 points or more than the national average. And those that were lower or more negative, those were at least 10 points lower than the national average. Now we will look at our key findings, and these are just some points that we identified as survey researchers as being notable. And as you look at the report, there are a lot of data points there that you can dig into, but these are just some of the things that we thought were noteworthy for Warrenville. First, residents appreciate Warrenville's natural environment and recreation opportunities, and also identify priorities for climate change mitigation. So roughly 8 in 10 survey respondents found both the overall quality of parks and recreation opportunities and overall quality of natural environment to be essential or very important for the city to focus on in the next 2 years. Ratings for survey items related to these tended to be positive and either were higher or similar to the national averages. About 9 in 10 rated the overall quality of parks and recreation as positive. And respondents highlighted areas such as availability of paths and walking trails, fitness opportunities as being higher than the national average. Likewise, 8 in 10 residents positively evaluated city parks, recreation opportunities, recreation programs or classes, and recreation centers and facilities. In terms of natural environment, 9 in 10 respondents offered above average marks for the quality of natural environment, as well as preservation of natural areas and water resources. All of those were higher than the national average. And 8 in 10 gave good marks, excellent or good marks to the Warrenville open space, which was also higher than the national average. We also asked about some city priorities. So this question was, please rate how important it is for Warrenville to take each of these following actions to address climate change. And this was a custom question. So 9 in 10 residents said it was essential or very important to protect natural habitats, open spaces, and marshlands. 8 in 10 placed importance on waste reduction via composting or recycling. And 3/4 placed importance on emphasizing water conservation efforts and upgrading infrastructure such as roads, utilities, to be more resistant. And to a lesser extent, 37% placed high importance on considering increased taxes or fees or other funding to help mitigate future climate change risks. Our second key finding, residents value Warrenville's economy and emphasize its importance. So results relating to the economy in Warrenville tended to be positive and similar to national benchmark comparisons. Overall, 8 in 10 rated the overall economic health of Warrenville as excellent or good. And 2/3 of respondents offered positive sentiments for Warrenville as a place to work. And similar ratings were seen for the economic development of the city, overall quality of business, and service establishments. Despite these generally favorable reviews, a few areas emerged for opportunities for growth. Only about half of residents rated Warrenville as a place to visit positively, and about 3 in 10 gave positive reviews to Warrenville's shopping opportunities, and those two were lower than the national averages. We also asked a custom question about prioritizing various initiatives, and 9 in 10 placed high or medium priority on advancing economic development initiatives focused on attracting new businesses. Our third highlight, while ratings for utilities are strong overall, residents point to drinking water as an area of opportunity. Compared to other facets of livability, residents place the highest importance on utilities, with 93% of respondents rating utility infrastructure as essential or very important. The overall quality of utility infrastructure, the quality was rated favorably by 6 in 10. And high marks were also seen for garbage collection, power utility, stormwater management, sewer services, and utility billing. Those were all on par with the national averages. And notably, drinking water was rated positively by only half of residents, and that is a rating lower than the national average. Our fourth key finding, trust in Warrenville government is high and Warrenville services are well regarded. Over 8 in 10 respondents rated the quality of services provided by the city of Warrenville as excellent or good. City services were also highly rated, with 87% of residents offering high marks to the overall customer service by Warrenville employees, and 76% responding positively regarding public information services. Ratings in other areas of governance were strong, with many aspects scoring higher than other communities across the nation. So treating all the residents fairly, generally acting in the best interest of the community, being honest, etc. About 7 in 10 offered positive ratings for the overall direction that Warrenville is taking, as well as the Warrenville government being open and transparent to the public, welcoming resident involvement, and informing residents about issues facing the community. Additionally, the NCS has an opportunity to ask custom questions, and Warrenville chose to do that, and I would like to show some of those questions that were added on and created by Warrenville. So how much of a priority, if at all, should it be for Warrenville to focus on each of the following initiatives? So 84% placed in priority on investing in additional sidewalk, paths, and trail connections throughout Warrenville. I already mentioned 9 in 10 wanting to advance economic development initiatives. And 8 in 10 placing a high priority on developing crime-free housing programs for rental properties, implementing new environmental sustainability initiatives, and expanding police resources to include social service partnerships. Finally, about 3/4 placed priority on fostering a diverse and inclusive community and ensuring Warrenville continues to have a mix of housing types to meet the evolving community preferences. The other custom question that was asked was regarding sources of information. So the most likely source was identified to be the city newsletter, with 9 in 10 residents indicating that they were very or somewhat likely to use that as an information source. And other sources that were more likely to be used included the city website and also word of mouth. So here's a summary of our conclusions of the report. Residents appreciate Warrenville's natural environment and recreation opportunities and identify priorities for climate change mitigation. Residents value Warrenville's economy and emphasize its importance. While ratings of utilities are strong, overall, residents point to drinking water as an area of opportunity. Trust in Warrenville government is high, and Warrenville services are well regarded. Lastly, I just want to mention that the online version of the survey was hosted on Polko, and after completing the survey, residents were asked to join the Polko panel. So if you wish to dig deeper on any of these questions, you have Polko as there to ask these questions, and you also have a panel, like I mentioned, of over 250 people already on the platform, already subscribing to Warrenville's page, and will be notified of any future surveys or any future questions that are asked on the platform. And I will open the floor to questions.
Thank you. That was very interesting. Alderman, questions? Alderman Davalos.
Yeah, I just wanted to know if what you showed up on the screen will be on our website, our city website. Can we find it there?
Yes, it will be. I wanted you guys to see it first,
Okay.
and then, yes, it will be shared on our website, and the information is going to be used in a variety of ways.
Alderman Krokenberg.
Would you consider the 16% response rate to be a fair representation or a good response rate?
Great question. That is actually, sometimes people see that as, a pretty small response rate, but actually with a lot of resident surveys, we see response rates anywhere between, I would say, 10 and 20%. So 16 is actually very good. And more so, we look at the margin of error, which is plus or minus 5%, which is our target margin of error. So we can have a lot of confidence in the results that we saw for 448 responses.
Alderman Weidner.
Yes, thank you for the outstanding report. Really appreciate the specifics into it. And I wonder if how often POCO would recommend like the city following through with surveys. Like this seems to offer some generalized information, but in order to really find out more about the dissatisfaction with utilities or something like that, would we need to do more frequent evaluations or surveys?
Yeah, I would say that many communities choose to conduct a general community survey such as this one every 2 or 3 years. And I think that that's a pretty good time frame in order to get a good picture of trend lines. So the next time you complete a survey, you'll be able to kind of see trends in the future. And as we can compare to benchmarks, that's great insight, but the best benchmark will really be to against yourself over time. So I'd say a general community survey every 2 or 3 years is probably most common for us. But for any other surveys where you want to dig deeper, such as a utility survey or anything like that, especially if it's a shorter survey, the shorter the better. You'll get a good response rate out of a shorter survey. But I would say to dig deeper, it doesn't hurt to follow your general community survey with more targeted questions. So I would say once a year, maybe for a targeted survey would probably be good. But of course, there's other things we can discuss as well as survey fatigue and things like that, as over surveying too can sometimes cause lower response rate. But hope that answers your question.
I think it does. It just seems like some of the general findings we would want to probably have more specific answers provided to over time, like with the question of climate mitigation. You'd want to know maybe if there's a cutoff point on what the taxpayers would tolerate as far as paying additional taxes in order to mitigate climate issues. And you would probably find, if not mistaken, you'd probably find that out through further survey work. And the same
Definitely.
Same way with the water issue, I assume that it's probably the taste that's driving the negative or the reaction there, not necessarily the delivery or the volume of water or the condition of the wells or anything like that. So
Definitely.
And then would the city be capable with its in-house staff to be able to carry out survey questions that they would help us, arrive at those answers?
Great question, Alderman. I would just mention too that we have a number of surveys, both in terms of utilities, climate change, a lot of other specific topics in our library on POLCO. So whether that's using one of our created little surveys, we have just a few question targeted surveys, or your staff too. We can definitely assist with putting those on platform. They're already created, so there would be no additional work that needed to be done, just putting them on your platform and then creating a URL or a QR code, for example, to reach out to your residents.
Thank you. And it was just great to see the confirmation of the citizens appreciating our city staff and employees, because we all know up here the benefits and the dedication that they provide the city. So it was nice to see that come in on the survey report. Thank you.
Thank you. Paula, do you have anything else, the next steps for
Yes,
what the city
yes.
has in plans for?
We do have some next steps, and as Kim mentioned, the POCO library is a really valuable tool. And it really helps us because, for instance, residents indicated that they would like Warrenville to foster a diverse community. But what does that actually mean? And so this is one of the topics that IDEC is going to tackle. And because of the library, there's already a survey that we can use. And I believe at their upcoming meeting, IDEC will review the survey questions and we'll get something ready. Since this survey is still fairly fresh, we'll probably wait until fall. And again, EAC, I think, is going to find some great material to work with also. And I would encourage both of them to take advantage of it. So that's part of it. Regarding the water issue, it really ties into some discussions that we had not long after I started here, where city staff even said, we want to do a better job of educating the community and be more comprehensive. And we knew that the website redesign was coming, so we thought, we're going to wait for that piece of it to fall into place first. And now we're working closely together to create a really comprehensive water resources page on our website, because that's really ground zero for all the information to explain where our water comes from, how to manage living with hard water, as well as the testing process and the fact that we do have quality water. And then we can roll it out into our communication tools such as Hometown Happenings, the website's news section, which is now more prominent, Facebook, and our e-newsletter. And I think that will also help raise awareness greatly, because we're also fortunate in this community that I see the newcomers in particular reacting to the water, and the people who've been here longer are always happy to help. So I think we need to provide them with the tools to make it really easy for the newcomers to find the information, and for the people who've been here for a little while to know where that information is so they can share it as well. So we've got a lot to look forward to, and of course, we will be beginning a strategic planning process, so this is going to be a really valuable tool for us as well.
Great. Oh, do we have, City Administrator White.
Thank you. I know you got a summary this evening of the results, but there is a comprehensive report that will be published to all of you that has a lot of information, and I think you'll be pleased to see that Warrenville ranked very high across many marks on the survey and the livability from the residents. So I think overwhelmingly the information we got is that people are content with living in Warrenville and with the quality of the services. There are some areas, of course, that we always can improve upon, and we will be working through more of the feedback through the community, through focus groups and other avenues with the strategic planning process.
Thank you. Any other comments? Okay, thank you very much. This is for information only. And so we will move on to our next item, which is number 5, consideration of intergovernmental agreement with the Illinois Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity for Batavia Road resurfacing. And this would be Kristen Youngmeyer.
So the state of Illinois awarded the city a grant in the amount of $448,300 to be used towards the reimbursement of costs associated with roadway improvements to Batavia Road between Route 56 and Warrenville Road, as well as to Warrenville Road between Batavia and the west branch of DuPage River Bridge. This will include street resurfacing and spot curb and gutter removal and replacement. This money was included in the state of Illinois' 2018 capital bill. Fast forward to 2023, the city is now at the point to enter into an intergovernmental agreement with the state to access this funding. In the agenda backup materials is a resolution along with the intergovernmental agreement. It has been reviewed by the city attorney. If council has any questions, I'd be happy to take them.
Thank you. Comments, questions? Alderman Lockett.
Do we already have money budgeted for this, for that resurfacing? For 2025?
Well, we do, I mean, right now, we're in the fiscal year 2024 budget, so we're anticipating budgeting it for next year. We were, within the last couple of years, anticipating being able to do that this year, but the process with the state to get to this point with the agreement was longer than we anticipated, so.
Okay, and then about how much does this represent, you think, for the total project?
Jamie, do you remember what we're estimating for costs in the project? Or did we not get there yet? We're not quite there yet with the cost estimate.
Okay, it's a good chunk of change, that's what
It
I was
is.
asking, so that's great.
Yep.
So, thank you.
Alderman Widener.
And just curious, will the bike lane be part of the replacement of this program and the striping? Will that continue
Yes,
on
we'll
that section?
we'll restripe it just as it is now.
Okay, thank you.
Alderman Lockett.
I would like to make a motion, the city council pass a resolution approving the intergovernmental agreement with the Illinois Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity for Batavia Road resurfacing.
Second?
I have a motion by Alderman Lockett and a second by Alderman Davalos. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion passes. On to number 6. This is an informational update on the Climate Action Initiative report, also again by Management Analyst Kristen Youngmeyer.
Hello again. So back in 2016, a list of all the climate action initiatives was first compiled. I've updated recently, so in your agenda packet, you should find a copy draft of the 2023 annual report. This year, I worked on incorporating more quantitative data to help build a better picture of what climate action looks like in the city and the community as a whole. My goal in the coming years is to continue to build a better picture through data, and to consider, as we look forward, ways to use this data and information to measure progress in the community. For example, the Chicago Regional Tree Initiative provides information on canopy cover, so that could be something potentially to look at to see how we're making progress in increasing canopy, maintaining our trees, just as an example. In the update over the past year, there are details including efforts to integrate solar into the community. One of which was through completing a solar energy assessment for the Public Works Building, which staff are currently reviewing that report. The Trailhead project, which is soon to be officially completed, will be solar ready, and staff anticipate the solar addition to be added later in the year, along with the public bench. Solar panel will be added, so you can charge your phone. Staff have also begun to implement the new tree management and planting plan. And so the start this year, they're looking to plant 100 new parkway trees on Continental Drive between Route 59 and Johnson School, as well as continuing to prune about 20% of the city trees, which is about 660 trees. So you can imagine that's a good investment there. So at this time, I'd be happy to take any questions, feedback, as well as suggestions on what you'd like to see in the report moving forward.
Thank you. Comments, questions? Alderman Widener?
Yeah, I just want to recognize your effort in this report from when we first saw it as, I think, a 1 or 2 page report in 2016. You've really developed it and expanded it. And that's really impressive, all the detail that's in it and all the different areas of topics that you've captured to include in the report has been much expanded from the first one that we've done, and it really offers a lot of factual data that the city is now keeping, and offers, just some great information about where we've been and where we're going with things like the tree canopy and solar and some of the other things. So I congratulate you on your effort on developing this report. It's really great. Thank you.
Alderman Davalos.
Thank you. I would like to build on what Alderman Widener said. This is extraordinarily helpful to have everything in one place. So as a liaison to the Environmental Advisory Commission, we have, when we meet as I don't know, as you may know, whatever, we have papers all over the place, and we're pulling this out of one file and this out of another file. So to have this much information in one place is extraordinarily helpful, because some of these things tie into each other. So you have this one report, and you can easily refer and back, and as we decide our work plan, we can sort of nice summary of what we've done and some of the hopes and dreams for the future. So I just want to say thank you. It is just probably more helpful than you even know for us. Thanks.
Thank you. Alderman Widener, again.
I had another question regarding the future or possibility of reestablishing the battery recycling program. I know for various reasons we had to stop that, and I just wondered, are we looking into what it would take to resurrect that program?
I believe that it has restarted. I think there's a new company, just data for this year, or I think the past year was not available. So it's restarted. I can check in with David Romero, the EAC's liaison, and I think he helps manage that program.
Will it be in the same format that it was before it was canceled, where people bring their batteries into the city and drop it off in the boxes and so forth?
I would need to clarify, but I believe I still see the boxes out, so I imagine, I'm looking. Okay, same thing, it sounds like same thing, new, just a new company.
Fantastic. I'm really glad that it's back.
Alderman Davalos?
Yeah, let me just say that we are recycling batteries because the ESC has to put Scotch tape on some of these batteries. And it reminds me that we need to change our instructions. We used to have to do it on 9 volts, put a piece of Scotch tape, but now I think it's lithiums and the 9 volts don't need it. And so I'll work with the EAC to maybe let everybody know what the new rules are so we can be up to date. So thanks for your question, Alderman Wagner.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, this was information only. Thank you, Kristen. Okay, number 7, consideration of intergovernmental agreement with IDOT to share costs of Route 56 Intelligent Transportation System corridor improvements. And this would be Public Works Director Phil Kugler.
Thank you and good evening. So IDOT is implementing intelligent transportation systems along the Route 56 corridor between Route 59 and York Road. The scope of work varies from intersection to intersection, but after all the improvements are made, it's anticipated that traffic safety will be increased, and there will be some relief to traffic congestion in various areas along Route 56. The city shares in the costs for Batavia Road and for Route 59 intersections. Batavia Road is mainly because it's a city road for that intersection, but also for both intersections, the city had requested that IDOT paint the various traffic signal components and light poles black, and there's also emergency preemption devices on the intersections for emergency vehicles. So the city shares in those costs at those 2 intersections. The anticipated cost for the city share this project, and the overall project is something like $16 million if you made it to the end of the exhibits and the agreements. But the city's share is expected to be $31,795. That's based on a cost estimate at this point. The project has not gone out to bid. That's anticipated to occur later this year, and the city's actual costs will be based on the contract amount. Staff and the city attorney did review the agreement and went back and forth with IDOT a little bit to negotiate the agreement that's included with the agenda backup materials, and I'd be happy to entertain any questions at this point.
Thank you, Phil. Any comments or questions from the alderman? Alderman Lockett, do you have your hand up?
No.
Okay. Okay, we have no comments or questions. I guess we need a motion. Now, Alderman Lockett.
I'd like to recommend City Council pass a resolution approving an intergovernmental agreement between the City of Warrenville and the Illinois Department of Transportation regarding the improvement of Illinois Route 56.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Lockett and a second by Alderman Davalos. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion passes. Thank you. Number 8, consideration of second amendment to communications site lease agreement with T-Mobile. Again, Public Works Director Phil Kukler.
Thank you. The city repainted the water tower that's on West Street, south of Deal Road in Cantera last year. Before painting, the mobile carriers needed to remove their equipment from the water tower into a temporary pole that they installed on the site. Now they're at the point that they're ready to relocate their equipment back onto the tower. It's Verizon and T-Mobile, the two companies that need to relocate their equipment. What they discovered before they relocated is there's a piece of, there's a railing up on top of the tower that was not sufficient to hold their equipment back on there. So they're replacing that, they're working with the contractor, the city's contractor, McGuire Iron, to pay them to remove the existing railing and then put it back on there and make any repairs to the fresh paint job that was done. I don't know why they didn't identify this before the paint was done, but we are where we are at this point. This agreement with T-Mobile is for them to reinstall their equipment on the new railing and to basically document that in the configuration that's going to be up there. I anticipate, as long as all goes well with Verizon, I'll have a similar agreement with them for the July CDC meeting to present as well. So with that, I'd be happy to entertain any questions.
Any questions or comments? None? Okay. Alderman Lockett?
I'd like to make a motion that we recommend City Council pass a resolution approving the second amendment to the communications site lease agreement with T-Mobile Central LLC.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Lockett and a second by Alderman Kruckenberg. Is that correct? Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion passes. Number 9, consideration of professional services agreement for sanitary sewer manhole inspections. Again, Director Kukler.
Thank you. The agreement that's included with the agenda backup materials is for manhole inspections in the Central 2 basin. That basin is generally located south of Butterfield Road and south of Warrenville Road, west of Curtis. And there's a small section of the basin that is north of Butterfield Road near Batavia Road and Rockwell. The flow monitoring was completed in this basin last year. The construction to line any deficient manholes is anticipated for 2 years from now. The Engineering Enterprises is the engineering firm we've been using for this work. They've done a good job in the past I&I reduction program projects, and the $53,200 contract that's included with the agenda backup materials is reasonable for this type of work. So with that, I'd be happy to entertain any questions.
Comments, questions? Seeing none, we would just need a motion. Alderman Kruckenberg.
I'd like to make a motion to recommend City Council pass a resolution approving a contract with Engineering Enterprises, Inc. for the Central 2 Basin Infiltration and Inflow Investigation in an amount of $53,200 and authorizing the mayor to execute the proposal.
Second.
Motion by Alderman Kruckenberg, a second by Alderman Davalos. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Number 10, review and file the Public Works Department FY 2024 Work Program and Decision Package Status Report. This is information only, but if anyone has any questions for Director Kukler, he's here. Ask them now. Seeing no questions, thank you very much for the report. We have nothing under miscellaneous, and all we would need is a motion by Alderman Lockett.
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
We have a motion to adjourn by Alderman Lockett and a second by Alderman Davalos. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion passes. We are adjourned, and thank you very much. Have a great evening.